Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the YouTube exclusive extra stories from the GamePitch podcast. These got cut. These were not drafted. I've got JD on the line. Hey, JD.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be here with you on our YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. So these are going to be exclusive. Basically, every week we draft news stories into our fastball segment where we talk about the latest in gaming, but we just don't have time for everything. So these extra stories were cut for time, and this is kind of like our overtime segment where we're going to just put up some more shots and talk about some stories here. The first one is about Overwatch.
Yeah, so a new hero named Echo is coming into Overwatch this week, right? So if you're listening to the show now, watching this on YouTube today, this new character is dropping April 14th. And so, yeah, do you still play a lot of Overwatch, Eli?
I haven't played Overwatch in maybe 2 years.
Okay, well, maybe we are not the most qualified then to talk about this new character because I also have not played a lot of Overwatch. I used to play it religiously with a bunch of buddies and we'd play competitive and, all that stuff. And I haven't really played much. Yeah, I don't know. Sounds cool, right? So it's a new
Yeah.
damage dealing character.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the design looks good. I watched the trailers. I like the idea of Echo and in their very like adult Disney Infinity art style that they have there, like almost
hmm
Pixar. Like it just looks nice. It looks good. It moves. And they're masters of marketing, obviously, Blizzard over there, because this is one of the biggest games in the world. But you said something very key there, and I know there's some other things to talk about too, but like you haven't played this game in forever and you were someone who feverishly played it, and it doesn't sound like any of these new heroes can even draw you back in.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I like the idea, right? I like the idea of a new hero because it always mixes up the meta.
Mm.
Jeff Kaplan, the game director for Overwatch, has mentioned that Echo is going to have a new ultimate that lets Echo assume the role of an enemy hero and then use that enemy hero's abilities, which sounds awesome. It sounds very different than what we've seen from any other hero. I am excited to hear how it mixes up the meta. And that's kind of the extent of it, right? It doesn't excite me to the point where I'm going to go re-download Overwatch today. It doesn't excite me to where I'm going to get hooked into watching Overwatch League again every week. But it is cool. And for people who are super into Overwatch still, I'm sure it's a big change. So
Well, and Overwatch has been on like the downspin for a while now because like Call of Duty is always going to be there. That's always going to be king, and I think every other FPS just competing to be in that second spot. So of course, you had Fortnite taking the number one spot for a really long time, and even though it's not necessarily a FPS in the same way, it's a shooting game. So Fortnite just seems to be on this rise and then potentially have a downturn soon. But Overwatch really seems to have been backburnered by a lot of other things like Apex
yeah.
and a story we're going to talk about here in just a moment. But I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel for Overwatch. I don't see a way to get back into that number one spot.
Yeah, I know. I think it's hard, right? It's hard to reclaim that public eye after it's lost. And that's true in gaming more than anything because it's constantly evolving and there's constantly new stuff coming out.
Hmm.
And I think that leads us to our other cut story, right? Which is Valorant. Riot Games is developing this new first person shooter. It looks like it's going to be a hyper competitive style game, kind of a la Counter-Strike, right? I've seen some gameplay on Twitch for people who have beta keys, and it very much looks like it will play just like Counter-Strike does. And it's kind of, I don't know, it looks like it was built with esports thinking first, which isn't shocking considering that it's coming from Riot, right? And then their
Yeah, the House
claim to
of
fame
League.
and it's House of League. It's League of Legends, right? So it makes sense that they would build this with esports as a primary slice of the main game, right? What's your take on this?
They have more experience than anyone at this. So everyone's playing catch up, and then everyone who does something new is just giving them more ammunition in their clip, which is crazy to me. So every move that Apex or Fortnite or Overwatch has made is only just helping uh, these guys do this. Sorry, I forgot their name for a second there, the Riot Games, because I was thinking of Sabotage Studios again because I Sea of Stars is amazing. But no, yeah, I just Riot Games, they already have the playbook and they're going to do this to perfection. And I think that they're one of those studios that's just like relying on the algorithm. So I don't see a path for them for failure, but nothing they do can make me want to play this game.
Yeah, I'm not excited necessarily to play it. I am excited to see what it does for the industry. It's cool that it's not a battle royale, right? Because it feels like any new shooter that's coming out has some sort of battle royale with it.
Hmm.
And it's not just a shooting game because there are elements of abilities and heroes that are in the game
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
which
yeah,
again
yeah.
makes sense because League of Legends, right? That's kind of the core of the game is you have different heroes with different play styles. And so, it's funny that we talk about the story right after talking about Overwatch because a lot of people are saying that there's some comparisons to Overwatch in this with how you have these abilities that make your aim super good or they make your characters and your friends go faster and move around quicker or whatever, right? Like, so it's funny that these two stories kind of came at the same time because there's a lot of comparisons to the ability side being similar to Overwatch. They're obviously taking on the competitive esports side of it, which Overwatch is trying to do heavily with their own Overwatch league that they produce. So yeah, it's a fascinating time for these two games to exist in this sphere together. And I'll be curious to see what it does. Like you said, I'm not jumping at the bits to play this game. I don't particularly care, but I am interested.
It's splitting the pie again. And this is just it's funny because this is going to be one of those things where we're going to constantly have news for this just across the board.
Yeah, it's going to be a thing that is. Sorry if you can hear my dog in the background. It's going to be one of those things where it's exciting to see how it shakes up the industry. It's going to change a lot of shooters. It's going to change a lot of esports, and I'm very curious to see how that looks. So yeah, and I think that's it for our two extra time stories this week, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, we have done it. We have completed our journey. So yeah, just check this out. Of course, check out the full podcast. We have episodes that go up on your favorite platforms like Google and of course Apple. We have a web version as well, and then we post full episodes here on YouTube as well. But the only place where you're going to find these extra stories like this is on YouTube.
Yeah, these extra time pieces are YouTube exclusive. And yeah, thanks for listening, guys. If you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing to the podcast. Drop a comment. Let us know how you feel about this new character, Echo, coming to Overwatch, how you feel about Valorant. We'd love to hear what your thoughts are.